Hello and welcome to Past the Calabash. I'm Nachula, and thank you so much for joining me. If you're Zambian like me, then real estate and the constant buzz around it becomes almost a cacophony of confusion sometimes. You want to participate in some way because if property prices are to be believed, it's a great investment. But is it? There are so many horror stories of devious contractors, dishonest craftsmen, endless cost overruns. You wonder if at all it makes sense to even participate. You want to build, but is building the only way to be part of this sector? Especially for those in the diaspora, investing in real estate back home can be viewed as opaque and even nightmarish. That's why it's such a good idea to learn from the experiences of those that have walked the path. I'm joined today by the perfect guest to hear from on this. Kelvin Phiri is a real estate expert in the diaspora who has also spent years as an ardent investor in real estate in Zambia. Kelvin is dynamic. You may know him from his YouTube podcast, Building Dreams in Africa, which I love for the very informative insights on the Zambian economy. Not only that, he's written 3 books on real estate and the diaspora experience. We'll list those in the show notes. Additionally, he has a music album out, also listed in the show notes. All of this while holding down a day job. Join me for this very riveting conversation with Kelvin.
All right, it's very, very nice to meet you.
Thank you. Same.
And thank you for, without even knowing me or talking to me, agreeing to have the conversation.
No, it's we're doing one and the same thing as diasporians, and the message need to get out there. So
that's true.
When I see an opportunity like this, I jump on all the time.
I'm glad.
Yeah.
I'm glad. So for a little bit of background, I'm already recording,
Okay.
but I may take out, little bits of tidbits if it just feels irrelevant for the actual conversation.
Yeah.
I could have called you beforehand, but I held off because sometimes when you have the call before, you end up discussing all the things that you wanted to discuss on the podcast.
Yes.
And then now you get on the podcast and you're going, like we said before, right? So I thought,
Clever.
maybe
Clever.
Let's avoid that.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Yeah. So my name is Nachula. I was very fascinated by your profile because of the history of being a diasporan. And, having left home a while ago, I left it was 2011.
Okay.
And I left to go and work with a bank. And then somehow I just haven't come back home.
Yeah.
So I've been moving from place to place. And as I go along, it's starting to niggle in the back of my mind that, you're not home and your intention is to go home. But what are you doing to prepare to go home, right?
Yeah.
So part of this podcast and the PhD I'm doing now is like built of a curiosity about Zambia and understanding, the economic situation there, what's going on,
right.
what makes people tick, etc., so that I can kind of find my place in it.
That's right.
And a big part of that is real estate. But I thought, let's start with your story.
That's
because
right.
I love that you've written about your story. And I read one of the books, I started reading one of the books, and somewhere in the beginning it says, we didn't go because of, British accents.
Yes.
And I thought that is...
That's right. Yeah.
That is so true, right?
Yeah.
So maybe you could start by giving us a bit of background on like how you left home and what that journey has been like.
Absolutely. Well, just before I get into my story, thank you very much for this opportunity. I don't take these opportunities lightly. I think we have a huge task for some of us who are in the diaspora to rally everyone to really see the opportunities and just simplify things for some of us who are in the diaspora and building back home. And I think that's what I try to do. Now, my name is Kelvin Phiri, and I am a builder. I would say a builder, a chartered builder.
In the simplest form.
In the simplest form. I'm a chartered builder. And I've been an quantity surveyor. I've been in the industry for quite, I think, over 30 years. And over that period, actually, I have had the opportunity to work. I started my career way back in the 90s, early 90s. And when I talk about certain things in Zambia that was happening around that time in the construction industry, some of the players now were probably not even born. So that's long time ago. And I started, as I said, my career as a quantity surveyor, estimator in Zambia on the Copper Belt, and later on worked in Lusaka and then Botswana, based in Francistown.
Do you know what's interesting? Is I grew up in Botswana.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah. So my mom was a high school teacher there. So we lived there from, I think it was the year 1990, between 89 and 90.
Okay.
And we only left and went back to Lusaka. I think it was probably the year 2008 or so my mom left.
2008. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right. So where were you in Botswana? Ah, Mau. Ooh, yes. I love
tiny
Mau.
little village.
And the last project, and I'll talk about that, was in Mau. I mean, if you're driving into Mau, because you go straight and then you turn before you hit to, there's the park and the bridge. There's an intersection there.
In fact, we live just there.
Yeah, so if you go back,
just where you turn.
Yeah, so before you get there, we built police houses. So I was the quantity surveyor on that project. I actually priced that job. So we built brand new houses. You can't see them if you're on the mineway because there's a little bush and then the houses are in the police houses. I think possibly about close to 30, I think, somewhere around there, or 40, somewhere there. And then we did renovate some other houses, and I'm trying to close my eyes, but it's it's been a while. It's been 20 years. So I know Mau so well. And then from Mau as well, from Mau down as you go into Kansi, there's a small town called Sihitwa. So there, we built police houses and a police station. So my memories of those journeys, because I was based in Francistown, so 500 kilometers to Mau.
My word, yes.
And I'll start off in the morning, and I need to get to Mau for a meeting at 9, and then the consultants that we're meeting are flying from Haworoni. So I think it's an hour for them. Me, it will be about 5 hours, and I have to be on site because I'm representing the office. So, and then once we finish there, we'll have to drive to Sihitwa, finish there. If I don't sleep over, I have to head back to Francistown, which is now another 600 kilometers. So, worked in Botswana, in building those houses, in Muchudi as well, not far from Haworoni. The ones that we built, police houses as well, when you're driving, passing Muchudi on the road, there's a mountain on your left there, and you could see the green roofs. Those are the house that I was part of there as well, building those. And then, of course, in Orapa mines, we built some houses and multi-purpose. So you
literally were all over the country. Yeah?
I just didn't go the other way around, like joining and then come back like this. But I've been up to Hansi, and then so Orapa, worked in Sorowe. So when I joined the company I was working for, we were finishing up the Ministry of Broadcasting building. So I finished it, did the final count for it. Worked in Kwe, which is right in the Harare building, the Rads hostels. These are for the Basara people. So right in the middle of nowhere, it's only 60 kilometers from Letakani, and then you drive into going into the Kalahari. Because of the sand, it will take you 2-3 hours. But but I did that in Botswana. But I was there for 4 years, and that 4 years was just I was tired because of the driving. And I had an opportunity to go and work in South Africa. And I worked in South Africa in Johannesburg for one of those days, the biggest, one of the big construction companies. I was based at their head office in Midrand. Yeah, so we lived there for, I think, close to about 2 years. And then the opportunity to come to the UK came. So I was recruited for my role here in South Africa. I attended the interviews there and then came up here in the UK. So being here, my wife reminded me, was it yesterday, that we've been here 19 years.
My word.
So
that's a whole lifetime.
Yeah, so been in the diaspora for about 26 years, I think. This is the longest we've been in one country. That's
and
yeah.
So that's like the background. But then what's interesting to me is the choice. So you said from the very beginning. I was just going into kind of the first piece of the conversation, which is your choice to invest in Zambia, right? Because you were living in Botswana, you were living in South Africa, you were living in the UK. Anyone would say, why not invest there? Why are you looking back so early in your journey away?
Right. I think one of the stories that I actually I do share is the fact that accidentally we bought a piece of land. It was not intentional. And I share that in my book, Moving Back to Africa. It wasn't something that I planned. Because just like most of the people, when I left, I left, it wasn't planned, frustrated. Because I tried to do whatever I could do, and it wasn't working. And I looked at my life and I said, in the next 5 years, how is it going to be? And I couldn't see beyond the next day because it was survival.
And this is, let's unpack that a little. So this is looking at work and what, not being paid enough or just not finding the kind of job you wanted to do.
Right. Let me just, I think I share that in my book. And that's, I feel proud somehow. So, proud of the book. I share extensively in this book, and I think I share my journey. And I don't want to try and gloss it up, because a lot of people think when you talk about moving to the diaspora, it is all about, I got a job in South Africa, which is part of my journey, and then came to the UK. That's all part of my journey. But the initial part of my journey was as disorganized as you could think of. And it wasn't about pay. I just didn't have a job. I lost my job in Lusaka. From the Copper Belt, moved to Lusaka, and I lost my job. And that's another story for another day. A lot of lessons to learn from that experience. And I had to go back, going back. So Lusaka, I worked in Lusaka, and just to go back to what I said, so Lusaka represented to me kind of a mini journey that most of the people do, traveling from their home country into the diaspora. For me, Lusaka was like the diaspora from the Copper Belt. I grew up on the Copper Belt, my family, support, and everything was there. And this was the first time I had to move to Lusaka, and I lost my job there. And I had to make a decision there to think, what am I going to do? Am I going to look for another job in Lusaka? Do I have enough savings to sustain us 3, 4, 5 months? I didn't have. And so we had to make a decision to travel back to the Copper Belt, because that's where family was. But we didn't have a house. So I remember traveling with my family from Lusaka with all the household goods and everything, heading to Kitwe, and we didn't have a house. We were just believing God that it will work out when we get there. And you know how faith is and how God is. We did find a house, and we lived there. But when I was on the Copper Belt, I started trying to use my old connections to find clients. Because I worked for one of the big construction companies then, Delkins. Everybody knew Delkins because of the projects that Delkins was doing. And so I was known. People knew me. So I tried to use those connections to get jobs. I registered a little company, and I thought, okay, I can, with the experience that I've had and all that, I will present a professional view to or angle to whatever I do, because the company I worked for was a Londo company, and it was, really, really very good company. So the things that we were doing there was just exceptional. And so I thought, I've learned quite a lot there, and I can do this. The way I would present my pricing, the way I would present my quotation program, and everything
with the professional,
way. So I thought I could really get some jobs. I obviously getting another job like being employed as a quantity surveyor, companies just didn't, Zambia was going through a very hard time then. It wasn't jobs. And so the only alternative was to come up with my own construction company. And I was thinking, this is what I'm going to do. But it didn't work. I ended up driving a taxi in the evening.
Wow.
That's why I'm saying that's another story that I've never shared, and I think I will share at some point about that. And so I just could not see, beyond the next day. It was just so difficult. People who promised me jobs, I would go to
as often happens, right? You get very many conversations, but nothing turns into anything.
Nothing turns out, and so I decided that I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna leave Zambia. So and that's how we ended up in Botswana, and the buying of land was just an opportunity came, and my father-in-law said to me, "There's a house. There's a piece of land." And we said, the little money that we had in Zambia, we used that money and bought that land. So that was 2003. Yeah, we had no plans. I really didn't have a plan because like I said, I left Zambia frustrated, and I think I'm not going to come back here. And I always said, we closed all the accounts that we had. We sold everything. I was like, I'm not coming back.
You'll be driven by the frustration of, I have tried here and it hasn't worked.
It hasn't worked. And but home is home. Within a year, I started saying to my wife that this is not home. She would say in Botswana, no, let's do this, let's do that. I said, this is not home. I somehow just started feeling this is not home. Because I think one thing that I've learned in the diaspora is how proud people are of their countries, like Botswana. I had to learn Setswana, a bit of Setswana. I had to, but I thought these guys were really proud of their country. And no matter how much I tried to fit in, just wasn't one of them. And Zambia was my home.
There is that sense, right? When you're outside,
you can try whatever you can, but you will always be a Zambian. I don't know that poo. So during that time, like I said, we bought that piece of land, and it wasn't.
And that was the anchor, right? That was the thing that made you kind of look back and go, okay, it's possible to look back and start investing at home. So I'm glad you've said that. Often when we're away, I also have moved to many different countries, and in each of these, when you're at home, you don't feel Zambian.
Yeah,
you're just a person, right?
Yeah,
you're just somebody on the streets.
On the streets.
But the minute that you leave, you realize that you can't really be anything else. You are a Zambian, and that's your identity. And even if I know some people, kind of get rid of that identity, but I've learned as I've grown, you take pride in that identity because people see you and they see somebody from somewhere, right? And so now you start embodying it and now identifying with it, and then wanting. I guess that's the age, the experience, wanting to have more of it, right, within you. Yeah,
I think. Once you realize, it hits you, you start becoming you become proud of who you are. I think one of the things that I've shared in my other book, Roots and Wins, a father's diaspora message. This is a conversation to my daughters, and we talk about identity so much and belonging.
Yes, I read a couple of it's written as letters, right? I read a couple of letters, them. Yeah. And yes, exactly right. Identity, even if you are not, for your daughters, I think it's a different story. They really haven't grown up in Zambia.
But I think because a lot of people, obviously, there was a debate here, and when somebody asks you and say, "Where are you from?" And I've been asked that question many times at the office, and they say, "Oh, Kelvin Phiri." Oh, yeah. Where are you? Oh, I'm this. And then you say, where are you from? And to me, that is where it just kicks in. And I am Zambian. I am, I when I close my eyes, I see those, red soil, dusty roads, and I feel, wow. You know, when I land at the airport and I could smell the chili, everything in me just said, "This is home.
I'm home."
This is home.
The last time we had gone away for a long time, so I also left 2011. Would come back every 2-3 years or so, but this last time that I was in Ghana, I hadn't been home in 5 years. And finally, after that 5 years, I took my daughter and family. We went home. And it's the experience that you're describing of being in the airport. You get out and then you look around and you can smell it. You can smell the trees. You can smell the grass. Then you're like, oh dear, it's been so long. I actually am home now. I can feel that I'm home. It's a nice feeling.
And it's the same feeling that I have when I get go home, and I go to my mom's house. I go straight into the house and I sit on the couch in the living room. It smells the same thing, the same smell
as when you were a child, right?
And I'm like, it's like everything in you just relaxes. It's like, this is home.
It's different.
It is different. So no matter how you gloss it up, no matter how you think about it, I try to bring that down into this book. Because psychologically, your mind will tell you, I don't care about Zambia. Your mind. But your body speaks a different language. And there comes a time when your body will just say, you know what, I'm done. And I think what I try to share in my book and in my podcast, it's around the same message, really, about encouraging people investing back home. It's about building back home. The first part of it is I want to try and remind people to say there are challenges, but it can be done. And
I think that's a good segue, right? For the conversation on the real estate sector itself in the country. So you've been watching this for the past, you've said you've worked in the sector 30 years. In that time, what are the developments that you've seen that are most significant, that open the space up or close it in different ways?
If we're talking about Zambia, and the beauty about my journey is, like I said, 2003, 2002, 2003, we bought a piece of land. There was a house then. And the way we were doing it to the way things are being done now is completely different. How things are being done now, the journey that I'm taking on building right now in Vona Valley, if I would have done that then, I would have done so much over the period of time. So the whole system, the environment, the way things are done is completely different. And I'll cite an example is, I depended, when we were building the first house, I was sending money to my father-in-law. And I would only speak to him because the rest of the people didn't have mobile phone. We didn't have pictures then.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that I would do, and I remember one year I traveled to, and I've documented the journey as well when we were doing that, traveling from Francistown to the Copper Belt. It was taking me 24 hours of driving.
God, yeah.
Because
that's a very long journey.
Yeah, you start off from Francistown midnight. Before, I think the first few journeys, I was scared of passing through Chobe National Park because you can't see the elephants because it's so
Yes,
dark.
Exactly.
When it's dark, the elephant is so black and you can't see it. And I just never liked to drive through the park in the day. In the night. But friends of mine would join in. We'll be in a convoy. Some friends from Aberoni will come, pass through Francistown, and we'll be in the convoy passing through Chobe. So that we get to the border around maybe 7, just before 7 when they're open there. You cross the border on the pontoon. Now you're talking of a bridge.
Yes, right. Things are different. We were on that pontoon.
Yeah, so you get onto the pontoon, cross over, and I would drive. I will have some materials in it. I will have a little trolley being pulled, a trolley with materials in it, and then I cross over to clear. So you arrived on the other side at 7. By the time maybe around to 12, that's when you're leaving the border to getting into Livingstone around maybe 1. You'll be getting to Lusaka just after 5 in the evening.
And then you continue.
And then you continue to the Copper Belt. You're getting there just about midnight again. I remember my mom will be sitting waiting. She's like, because there were no phones.
You have no idea what's happening until a person arrives.
You know that you've started off and then they just see you have arrived. In the night, the whole day traveling, it was difficult. And you depended on somebody on the ground to send the money to. There was no way you could, right now see what is going on site. And of course, which I don't like talking about so much. The stories that we used to hear, where you sent to a relative and all that was happening. But you don't need to do that right now. Things have changed. Right now, when you talk about the systems, I can pay somebody directly using mobile money. I can see what is going on site right now. You've got videos. I go live with my with our supervisor going through. He's going through with his phone, and we're live, and I will see more things than he can see. I said, but what about that? What about that? And of course,
well, that's interesting. So you actually can. Because, everybody wants to build at home, but there's a trust issue because even when you have the supervisor, you have the contractor, you have all these people, you're still getting stories, right? You've sent, 50,000 kwacha, and then they tell you that, it was supposed to go into X. But, actually, because this problem arose, you need to send another 25,000 kwacha to come and top up. And you can't verify any of those things, right? But now you're saying in your case, you actually even put cameras on the sites.
I have 4 cameras on site, actually. It's just that I can't move that camera. I have my cameras right now, so I can see what's going on site. I've got 4 cameras, and I've got on the other property, on the Copper Belt as well. That's on camera as well, so I can see what's going on. I'm physically there, not digitally there. Yes. I can speak to the guys on the camera. I could see I wanted to see what's in the storeroom. Can you get those elbows and those? There's a few things that is there. So he brings them out. I can see. Oh, let me see. Okay, it's just like I'm there. It's just like I'm there. Now these systems were not there. But let me just talk about the supervisor because there's a difference in. People would just use the term supervisor. Now, most of these people in Zambia, and which I'll come to challenges actually, because I'm just after this, I'm going to do my podcast or video about what's going on our site. But when people talk about a supervisor, and the way I've done it, a supervisor has to be independent, detached from the guys that are working. Most of the times, people will say, "No, there's a supervisor," but it's actually the contractor.
Yes, who has a vested interest in those people's pay or whatever,
so that he get paid, and then he gets whatever his markup or whatever it is. So ultimately, at the end of the day, and most of these people, what I've seen is that they are quite. They talk a lot. If you have absolutely no idea about construction and the character of our brothers and sisters in the industry, they will come out as confident.
Yes. And professional.
But they are. I mean, I was just talking to somebody today on site, and we were talking about fixing some of the work. So we needed a carpenter. Everybody will use the term carpenter now.
Yes.
In my past experience, a carpenter could be a general carpenter who will fix a roof. But this does not mean that this guy can actually do doors, can do skating, can do all the timber work. That is a specialized, another level of expertise. That's a joiner. So I had to explain this thing to the guy because I wanted him to fix something on the roof, and I wanted him to do some work on the doors. But I want quality. I just don't want somebody who say, "Oh no, I'm a carpenter." No,
I can do it because everybody can do it. By the way,
everybody can do it. So I had to speak to him and explain to him. I said, "There's a difference. That specialist work, that's the general. So it doesn't mean that you could have the same experience. It could be exposed, but it could be good on one part. It couldn't." I had to take him back in the days when I worked for Delkins, because Delkins had the construction side, and we had another sister company called Eastern Construction, where we used to do joinery work. We used to make doors. We used to make so I know about that, and I had to tell him that's more than 30 years ago now. I was working and I was doing these things, and I know the difference. So you need to put them in a corner. They understand that there's a difference. Now, back to the supervisor, like we were saying.
Yes.
The supervisor has to be detached, completely detached, and his job will be to go out there and identify the whether it's identify issues or whether it's actually helping the guys do their work. Most of these guys, they don't have the technical know-how. You know, the plumber will come to you and say, "Oh yeah, no, we can do this," but they can't do a sketch. They can't do a schematic.
Yes, exactly. They can't use the plans to determine where to do what piece of work.
Yeah, so they need somebody to tell them and say, this, that. And the
supervisor gets to do that.
The supervisor gets to do that. But if it's the contractor might have so many jobs. So he will just drop there and, quick, and he walks away. But what you know about construction is, because we're doing so many things. So you really need to understand that sometimes when you are so much, you're so detached to the what is going on there, you might find that you might miss things. That's why when other than my cameras, which obviously cameras will see the outside, but when we are doing live and we're having a meeting and we're walking around and I'm looking around and I'm saying, "Oh, what's going on there? How is that?" My supervisor probably wasn't even looking at that, or maybe, but I will see it. And as we're going, what about that? Oh, why don't we fix that? How are we going to fix that? Because where we are on our Vonavari project right now is we are doing finishes.
And that's the more difficult part of a project, right? Getting it right.
Yeah, getting it right. And so now, So
what you're saying is that, so first of all, I was catching that the difference between, way back when and now is that it's become much, much easier to be involved.
Absolutely.
Technology has made it easier. Now we have accessibility. We don't need to be working through other people, right? And then now what you've described for me sounds very wonderful, but that's because you're a construction expert. So for you, right, you can look on the video and say, something is wrong there. Go back there and change something. But assume, the average Zambian person, the average diasporan, i.e. people like me who have no construction knowledge, but are interested in investing back home and having property back home. First of all, like, how do we even understand who to even speak to, how to even acquire that supervisor, and how do we trust these people? How do we know what to expect?
Right, because obviously, just to obviously, trust issues is one of the challenges that pops up all the time, and I have seen that. Now, just how do you identify these people? And this is why I keep on talking about building back home. This is an opportunity for anyone out there, not Ikuluku, who wants to work with people in the diaspora. People in the diaspora want to invest back home. And they want to work with somebody that can be trusted, because trust definitely is a big
is one of the biggest ones, right? The biggest challenges.
What we are doing, and this is what I share on my channel, and I try to. I think we've got the YouTube, the Facebook group, builders in the diaspora, and of course the YouTube channel as well. There's a membership there.
Okay.
But what I try to do is create this community, because some of the things that I have been doing, it's not because I went out there and I just phoned somebody and said, "Oh, do you have a carpenter? Do you have this?" Within the community that we are trying to create, you can actually tap up from people within that we have used, people that I've used, people that somebody has used. Outside my bubble of that community that I'm creating, I tap into people that are already building back home, that I always speak to, and they said, "Oh, do you have somebody here? Do you have somebody?" But these are people that are in Zambia, and they can easily go there and talk to these people. But beyond that, there is this diaspora connection, which is us and the people that we are using and all that. So people can get in touch, can get in touch and use the expertise, use the people that we are using.
That's a really, really important point, right? Because I think, what I was alluding to was just the trust, right? And then this network is a good way to get past that.
Absolutely.
And to have access to.
We've tried them, we've seen them. And of course, to get to where we are, to say, if you can join that community, it's not that we've got people that are all perfect. Yes, these are people that we've worked with. We know them, and we can recommend them. But to get to where we are, having that small supply chain, least we've dropped a lot of people. I mean, I've talked about being scammed. So
you also have been scammed, even the expert.
Of course, I've been scammed. And because it goes to trust issues.
Are you okay to talk about it?
Oh, I mean,
so that we learn from your experiences.
If somebody wants to see that, I've shared my experience, and I share every day of my experience on site on my Building Dreams in Africa channel. Now, let me just talk about this. Not long ago, we were doing the stone cladding on our project, and this guy came out. I didn't go out to the usual people that I speak to within my community to say, "Do you have a cladder or stone cladder?" I didn't go to these people. This guy was introduced to me, and that was a mistake number one. Was introduced to me by my caretaker on site. Now, that particular individual was doing work in that area for somebody. And so he just saw, "Oh, there's a construction site there. Let me just walk up there." So a day later, when I was talking to my my caretaker. He says, no, Kunimunyamata, who was born, and he spoke about, he does stone pitching and all that. So I looked at my drawing. I thought, we need this. We need to have some stone cladding on these buildings. Mm-hmm. So I started talking to him, and it came out so professional, like somebody that I can trust. So, yeah. So the guy came out, very professional and all that. And I said, okay, I want to see what you can do. Where the camera is positioned, I said, I want to see that wall there. And you put cladding there. I want to see how it's going to come out. And he used his money. He sat there the whole day with his bricklayers, and he put this the cladding there. And I looked at it, and I asked the guys. They took my supervisor went there, looked at it, took some videos and pictures, and I said, "Oh, it's perfect." So I was like, "Okay, if somebody could do that, maybe you can trust him."
Yes. And because he's coming from the next property, he's been doing work somewhere, he's been trusted there.
That's right. So I said, okay, so what do you need? The first bit we need tile fix and all that. We said 50. What does he do? He delivers on it. I gave him money for 50. He delivers 20. So the caretaker said, so I looked on the camera and I said, how many are those? He says, oh no, there are 20. I said, no, they're supposed to be 50. So I called him. No. Where I buy, they were finished.
The price changed.
Yeah. No, he was saying they were finished. I'm going tomorrow. And okay. No, it sounded good. That he brought, I don't know whether it's 3-4 bags. Stones, I gave him money to cover about 100 square meters, 141 square meters. Because he told me, no, there's 141 square meters of stone that we can buy. So I gave him the money. What does he do? Brings little amounts in a small little car. So the caretaker told me, he says, actually on the camera I saw the small car, and I said, who is that? So he told me, he says, no, it's this guy. He brought just about less than a square meter of stones. And I was like, called him. He says, no. And he came up with a story. The next day, the guy just disappeared.
Dear.
So I had given him a total of 21,000. And it just disappeared.
Dear.
Stopped picking up my calls.
And that's it. And was never seen in the area again.
It was never seen in the area. And the worst part of it, I got the police involved. And that is just gone. I'm not going to talk about it because that's another matter that is quite disappointing anyway. Because they got the guy, they tracked the guy, got him. But just to get my money, I don't know whether he's been given the police or whatever. I just,
Yeah, but those are the stories, right? That keep all of us afraid.
But when I look at, in comparison to my investment, this is nothing.
In the grand scheme of things, the risk of little things like that has been worth it.
It's nothing, yeah. But that guy will never get a job. I've talked about it on my channel. In terms of the authorities' behavior, I know somebody will hear about this, and because these are real issues. People need to trust the system. When there's a problem, you need to go to the authorities, and the authorities should be able to
take action.
But stories like this actually deter and discourage the investors, diaspora investors. But it's not everyone. I am positive. It's not everyone. And no matter how long it will take, that guy will pay me my money.
Eventually it will come.
It will come. Yeah. Because I'm not going to give up. But so I've been scammed.
Highlight big challenge, right?
Big challenge.
Let me come back a little bit to the opportunities in the sector. I know we've kind of talked a little bit about, the change in the country and all of that, but I want us to explore more than, because the only thing we think about, or at least, my limited mind, when I think about real estate in Zambia is buying land, buying a house, building a house, putting it on rent, right? But surely the sector is so varied and so wide that there's more to it than just the buying of the land and the building of the house. You know, what else is there that people can participate in?
Right. And I think, like I said, a huge opportunity for both maybe the diaspora, if you do it right, and the professionals in Zambia is project management, offering that gap that exists at the moment where you present something that's a system that is trusted, and it's not driven by money, because I think what I've seen again is there's a lot of people in the industry who wants to, when you get a small little project or an opportunity comes, you want to make a killing.
Yes.
You know, it's important to build the confidence, around what you do, because it's outside. It's once you establish yourself, you will get more than the one little project that you want to do. So there's project management is huge, and I could see that there's huge opportunities there. Construction services, because the whole system is not organized at the moment, and I think, as I'll be talking to people, I think there's more to do to organize ourselves, to organize the people in Zambia, because the little group of, a few companies that are organized, if you approach them, oh my God, it's very expensive.
Yes,
it is very expensive, but it shouldn't be like that. It shouldn't be like that. Because, and the reason why I say this is because of the background that I have. I mean, I worked there in Zambia as a quantity surveyor. I worked there as an estimator, and so I know it's. What people will charge you, it's not.
It really. Do you think that it has to do with, and this is something that I keep hearing people say, that all of a sudden in the past 3 to 5 years in Zambia, things have become, the real estate sector particularly, has just jumped up. Property that used to be worth $50,000, $30,000 in certain neighborhoods, all of a sudden now is worth $200,000. The same property it's like doubled, tripled in the last 3 to 5 years. So it's as if, there's a bubble and everybody wants to make a killing in that bubble.
Everybody wants to make a killing. And again, I mean, one of the things that you will see is that because of the huge deficit of housing in Zambia, the population is growing. When I left Zambia, the population was 8 million.
My.
And suddenly, when I went back, it's 22 million. And I'm like,
yes.
What happened?
I think when I left, we were probably around like 14 million or thereabouts. And now, 22 million. 20 million.
By 2035 or 2035, we'll be looking at 35 million. So there's a huge deficit in terms of housing. And when we have a huge population of young people that are qualified professionals that are looking for decent accommodation. And so, and they around the property, there's quite a lot of opportunities there, even property management itself as well. At the moment, I try to manage the little portfolio that we have back home on the Copper Belt. But as the portfolio grows, because at the moment we're building 24 units there or 22 units in Copper Valley, I don't know whether I can do that with what I do here, because I'm very busy here. So,
why do you think that gap exists? Do you think it's because there's no? It's something that needs to be taught and is not being taught. There's no school that you can go to that teaches you to manage real estate in this way, or is it's not rewarding enough at the moment that nobody sees the opportunity there?
If you are in Zambia, possibly you can't see. You can only see when you step out. Like we were saying when I was talking about seeing the defects on the building.
Yeah.
If you disconnect,
you kind of see the big picture.
You got to see the opportunity there. But I think when you're back home, there's so many things that you will possibly think are stumbling blocks. And the mindset, first and foremost, where you think in order for you to succeed or to do this, you need to know somebody, or you need. There's so many stops. But in terms of being taught, I think we have a fantastic university that the Copper Belt University that teaches Belt environment courses, and I think there is people are taught, but I still think that there is need for us to develop systems that are tailored for our environment, for our country, because I think, somebody will probably say maybe I'm just making it, this is not correct. But I think that whatever people are taught, they're probably being taught about the UK.
Exactly.
I was speaking to somebody, and I think we were talking. He was looking for a book here in the UK, and I'm thinking, lecturing at one of the universities, and I'm thinking, why do you need that? Why can't people write books from
exactly? Yes, you're the person that's seeing what's going on the ground. Why don't you write a book?
That? And so, because a book is not just something that's written for the UK, because the UK systems change every day. Being a professional qualified person, I am supposed to study certain hours to maintain my professional qualification every year, because systems change, and if you went to university in the 80s, don't expect the same things now
to still occur.
But I think maybe the Copper University and the University of Zambia, I'm sure they are up to date. But I think we need to write more about the Zambian context, how to manage property in Zambia, how to live in Zambia, how to do this just for the Zambian
market.
Market, and that's what I think. Property management, like I said, is something that is a huge opportunity. And I think people have the experience. They know what to do, but there's more to be done. Because if you go out there and just because, and this is the frustration I have, when somebody says, I am a property manager, immediately because they're using that word, they think it's worth 50 million. Break it down. Break it down to the simplest form so that everybody can understand. Don't.
I once went looking for a contractor, trying to get a project started, and the way that they were pricing.
Yes.
They simply said it has to be 30% of the cost of the project, and I thought, how very random,
Without going to first principles.
There's absolutely nothing else, no other basis except it has to be 30% of the cost of construction, which when you look at the cost of the construction is so huge that I cannot imagine why I would give you so much money, with no basis except it has to be this percentage. And so that's what you're saying about, I'm a property manager, therefore, it must be very expensive.
And I think that's why sometimes I consider myself a rebel QS, because it's being lazy, actually, if you're going to use a blanket fee of 20% or 30%. What I try to do for me is I'll go to first principles. And the reason why I talk about first principles is because when I was training the Copper Belt University and working at the Delkins, that is what I was being taught to do. I will have a section of a wall being blasted, and I will record sitting there. How long is it going to take you to do a square meter? How long is it going to take you to paint 1, 2, 3 coats? That is going back to first principles. Now, when you talk about first principles, does anyone understand that?
And how do you convince somebody who hasn't even thought about pricing in that sense?
Yeah.
Right.
So what I try to do is, before I actually accept whether a percentage, I go to first principles, and I say, okay, how long is it going to? What is probably the basic rate for a skilled laborer
yes.
in Zambia, and then I'll build it up. And if it works out cheaper, then I was like, oh yeah, okay, I'll take 5%. If it, then I will challenge it and say, you know what, if you do this,
okay, fine,
it'll be yeah. But it's being lazy. That's what I would say. Yeah,
that's a good lesson to take away. That's a lesson I'm going to take away. That one way to counter these things is to use first principles. Is really think about the job at hand and what's involved in it, how much time, and what's the labor cost for this over that time.
Yeah,
right.
Because I think if you are a contractor and you are out there and you're just going to price a job and say 30%, you will lose. Those days when I was in Zambia, it was really competitive tenders to get government jobs. And so you really needed to do your homework. It's not just, oh yeah, it's 30%. Oh yeah, it's this.
And that's it. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So then I know we're kind of jumping back and forth. And another, I did say that I wanted to talk about the challenges, right? Yes. Of the real estate sector in the country and investing in the sector and being a participant in the sector, etc.
Sure.
I wanted to highlight one and just get your thoughts on this. I was speaking to somebody and I said that I want to buy farmland in Zambia. And I'm not interested in this contended land in the middle of Lusaka where everybody is pricing, all these high rates. I want green land that nobody has planted anything on. It hasn't been a farm before. I just want to go way out and I don't mind the distance.
Yeah.
And I went and spoke to a few real estate agents and a couple of lawyers as well. And they said to me, the risk that you encounter if you're going to go out is that most of that land is not yet registered.
Yes.
And so they're unwilling to help you acquire land that is customary land.
Yes.
Right. But for me, that's the land that I want because that's the cheaper land and it allows me to do what I want to do with it. Right. Yeah. So how does one address that kind of a challenge?
Right. Okay. I think there is a lot of opportunities when it comes to customary land. The risks are there. It's because people are not being honest. People are not being truthful. And sometimes it takes somebody who is specialized in that particular field. The easy one is obviously something that is registered. The process isn't there, I'll tell you, I haven't shared this yet. Because for me, whatever I do, I want to try and experience it before I talk about it, and I will be writing more about building back home as well. I bought this piece of land as well. I'm going to answer your question. I bought this piece of land, the first time, traditional land. I've got a farmland, which is on title. It's not big, 5 hectares. But I wanted 10 hectares. And I wanted traditional land so that I can go through the experience. And now this piece of land, I got it in this, and I think it's on one of the videos I shared because I was looking for the beacons. Not the one, but this is on the Copper Belt, not the Balmoral, that beautiful land there. But this is on the Copper Belt. And so on that piece of land, now, I don't know whether this is from somebody I know. I don't know whether he was trying to be clever or crook me or whatever. I don't know. Because the first thing that we did was to obviously, we went to the chief, we got a consent, we got an authorization letter that we can farm there. So we needed now to survey the land and then go to the chief and get a consent so that we can go to the Ministry of Lands. So
right, and which sounds like a very straightforward
it
process.
sounds like a very straightforward, but it's so complicated because people make it complicated. So the funny thing is, the beacons that I thought were my beacons, the surveyor gave us wrong beacons for another area. I don't know. Professional incompetence.
Oh dear.
I don't know. And that's criminal.
Right, yes. It should be.
I got this land, this drawing, and I was like, okay, this is my piece of land. That's 10 hectares. That's but when you look at the coordinates, those
it's not the right place
for that area. We paid this guy.
Dear.
We paid this guy. So the second thing is that piece of land actually belongs to the mines. Yes,
no.
It's in the chief. It's in a but
it doesn't belong to the chieftaincy. It belongs to the mine.
It belongs to the chief,
and it's registered.
Yeah, because it's not far from the chief. Where the parish is, and so they think it's belongs to the chief. But that land belongs to the mining company, and it has been since the 70s, the early 70s. So the question was, and this person who was selling us this land was aware. I wasn't aware.
Why are they selling it knowing full well that it actually is not the land that is supposed to be?
I made it clear to them the intention was to build. I wanted to do goat farming there. I wanted to build permanent structures. This is what we want, and we want this piece of land to be on title. And so when I now checked and saw all these,
and you've already paid for it,
and I've already paid for, so I said, why don't you find me another piece of land? Oh, refund me. So this is where we are now, trying to see if I can get my refund. So,
these are the stories I keep getting told as I'm here saying, look, what I want is, green land in which I can do as I please. I can experiment and try this and try that. Right. Yeah. But these are the stories I keep getting back.
But it's certain individuals because of greed. And I don't think that represents everywhere else you could go. You could be blessed and you find a piece of land. The key is not to give up. When you hear anything like this, don't give up. Just keep on checking, keep on looking. But I think it might need you to do more to make sure that before you commit yourself, make sure that is this...
yes, right.
Does this land belong to somebody else?
So now it's a bit scary for me because you know the sector so well.
Yeah.
And obviously followed all of the right steps, verify who this person is, do a site visit yourself with the person, you go through all of these steps, and yet still there are some things that,
I would say this, everything that I'm talking about, I do these things from the diaspora. So it's just talking to people. And one of the things that we are not good at as Zambians is sharing information. And I didn't know about the coordinates, that these are wrong coordinates. Somebody told me when they looked at the land, and they called me and said, Kelvin, do you know that this is not this area? And then I was like, oh, okay. And then I followed it up. But we need to cultivate the spirit of sharing, because the Zambia can never be developed by one person. Zambia is so big that it needs all of us to participate.
That's true.
It needs everyone to get involved. And I might know something, you might know something, but the more we talk, the more we open up and break these barriers that isolates us, and where you think, oh no, if I tell them that I'm building 22 apartments, they will think I'm boastful. No, or I'm proud. No, I'm doing this so that somebody can learn that it's possible. I'm doing this. It's money that I earn. It's money that I'm saving. My wife was laughing at me the other day. She says, every time we are building, because that's what it is. The other day, and I talked about, and as I looked at my account, I was like, I am really broke. I don't have money. My wife says,
because it's always going in.
my wife reminded me, says, but you can see where the money is going. Like, oh, yeah. Then I say, yeah.
It's fine then, yeah.
So all these things that I share are things that are practical, things that I live with, I'm doing. And I believe that everybody can participate.
I mean, yes, you're right. It is through, and I mean, the way I encountered you was I was looking for information, right?
Yeah.
We're all sitting in the dark in different corners of the world trying to figure out how we get back into it. But because you're right, there's so few people that are talking about these experiences, we end up making a lot of mistakes, and then we kind of pull away, and then we don't get involved, right? So you're right. Part of the job of it is to build clarity, transparency in the sector by talking about it.
I've been motivated by other parts of Africa. I mean, the Kenyans, the Ghanaians, the Nigerians, and Zimbabweans. How freely they talk about what they are doing, the lessons. Of course, they will not share everything, but you can develop, you can move forward, you can have an idea and say, okay. And then you can.
This is what's going on.
This is what is going on. How do I approach this? How do I do this? We need more of that in Zambia. And I think just, don't give up on that desire and plan to buy that green land, traditional land. You will find it. It is there. Because every Zambian is entitled to that piece of land.
I was telling somebody that, I was saying that I heard somewhere at some point that if I go back to Zambia and I go to my father's village, that I'm actually entitled to a piece of land without paying for it. Like I need to speak to the chief and he will grant me a piece of land. So that thing is actually very true.
It is very true. I there's a young man that I watch on YouTube, and I try to support him by, watching his YouTube, commenting on it. He's actually right now, Thomas Hara or something, he's right now in my village, my mother's village in Kasama. And so he was showing that he got 10 hectares. And I remember going there to that village in Kasama every time when the school holiday, and I would go to my grandfather's village. And I was like, it's been a long time. I think it's probably 25 years. Last time I was in Kasama, actually. So it's been about, more than 25 years.
And he has got 10 hectares.
He's got 10 hectares. And I was like, I need to have a piece of my piece of land there. Yeah.
That's something to do. I think the challenge for a lot of us has been, so my father's village is in Mbala.
Okay.
All the way in the north, somewhere near the border with Tanzania. Ask me when was the last time I went there. I have like one vague memory. I was probably like maybe 3 years old. In the back of a car, and we came out and it was dusty and earthy. That's the last time I saw that village, right? So the disconnection with our home villages as well makes it difficult for us to kind of, We
need to reclaim our heritage. We need to go back to the land.
Yeah.
I know so much about the northern province. I'm Kelvin Phiri, but my mom is from the northern province, and I grew up in Kasama as well, my early part of growing up. But I am so close to the Bembas because I've never been to Eastern Province. So I don't even know where to start from. If I was to think about the Eastern Province. But Northern Province, definitely. I need to go and reclaim my grandfather's land.
Yes, I was telling my sister that's something that we have to do, right? We owe it to ourselves. Maybe our parents made a mistake by not really keeping us in touch with those parts of the country, but now we owe it to our children to go and reclaim that history and make those connections again.
But one other thing that I noticed, 20 years ago, 25 years ago, the village was just a small little village. Now there's even electricity. And the big houses there. I was like, what?
Okay.
It's developing.
You know,
Really,
with time, it becomes attractive even for those that are accustomed to the city.
But obviously, with technology now, you can live anywhere. You got solar, you got Starlink, just like as if you are in town. So there's absolutely no.
It's as good as
to live in urban areas. I think the rural areas is where we've seen the concrete jungles where we are. Why would I want to go and see Mall of Lusaka and all that?
Yes. What is the point of that?
What's the point of that? So I would rather go in the village.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Kelvin, I feel like I've jumped left, right, center, and I haven't allowed you to really, raise the points in a chronological manner.
Yeah.
Right. But I don't know if we can maybe kind of, as we close, highlight if you had, key opportunities, key challenges for somebody that is looking at real estate in Zambia. What would you say that those big things are, aside from or including the ones we've talked about?
Yeah, I think we've talked about, just to go, trust issues has come up so much in our conversation. The other one that I would talk about is poor quality of work. It pains me that people that are doing trades or the craft are not proud of the outcome of the product that they're giving a customer or client. Right now on my project, and I was looking at this, we've spent the last 4 months now correcting defects. The wall is not straight.
No.
The door frames are not plumbed. So when you put a door, it will be bent.
Those are, to me, that seems like if somebody becomes a carpenter, if somebody becomes, a plumber or something, there should be some basics around what is a job, not even like absolutely, perfectly well done, but just what is the job, full stop. There must be some standards.
There must be some standards. And I think, to me, I don't know, I am so passionate about quantity surveying, the job that I do, the projects that I'm working on. I am so passionate. I feel proud when I go and challenge something, when I'm there and I stand by what I believe, and I said, this is what it is, or I make money for the business. I feel proud. But these guys, I haven't met somebody, and I'm so frustrated. I haven't met someone who will come out and tell me, or who show me that they are proud of what they do. Just the other day, I was talking to my supervisor, and we're walking around, and we see these leaks in the 2 blocks of the flats, and we're using PPR. This is the high quality pipe that people say when you use this pipe, it will never leak. But it's leaking.
Oh dear.
Because somebody did not do the proper job when they were connecting the pipes. When
they didn't install it properly.
They did not install it properly. But they are so quick. Tip and back, man. Oh my God. Full workmanship. And if there was anything that government would do, I think for me, I'm passionate about that. Maybe in my next life, I would want these tradesmen, people that are learning work jobs on training or on site or whatever, and they've learned and they've gone through just learning from people without the formal qualification, those people to be tested.
Yes. And there has to be a certification program of some sort.
And just like I think engineers have tried to do that, electricians, they will have those qualification, and they will belong to the Institute of Engineering, and they will have a certificate. But I think other trades, bricklayers, carpenters, plumbers, these people need some sort of certification. You don't need to go to Lukasha Trades or whatever trade school to get that certificate. You can actually be trained on the job,
and
but
yet still be tested.
And that's really important. If we are looking to raise the standards, that's what we need to be doing. So,
and that's a very good opportunity to highlight, right? That's an opportunity for the educational institutions that train these, because then that's an extra form of source of income. For them.
But we and it should never be, because a lot of people, when you introduce something or you propose something, they're thinking of their pockets or how can we get this. We want to see standards raised. We want to see buildings that are being done properly, because obviously when you look at the trades institutes, they can only take a certain number of applicants, but the deficit that we have in the country is huge, and we need a huge army of trained, certified tradesmen, because otherwise, I was talking the other day, I was thinking, oh, maybe I should go to Zimbabwe and get Zimbabweans. That. My brothers and sisters at home need a job.
Exactly.
So that second thing, obviously, that's tied up to the mindset as well. We need to change. Lack of system, which obviously comes into what we've just discussed there, of some sort of certification, and we need to make sure that we look at that. Challenge number one, the other challenge, obviously, which I am glad to say, because of the economic environment that we are experiencing at the moment, and I will proudly talk about what I can see on the ground, the confidence that is coming. I know you mentioned, we talk about the strength, the kwacha appreciating and all that. To me, it's the confidence that comes in. The confidence that somebody who's looking out from outside will look at that. And so a challenge would be fused in there was obviously prices going up and up and up. But with the right economic environment, as we are experiencing, we have actually, I must say, we've seen some of the prices coming down. But
really, I keep hearing complaints from people in Lusaka about how the kwacha has strengthened in the period of 1 year up to the last 2 months. We went from 28 kwacha to $1, to 19 kwacha to $1.
Yes.
Which, for an outsider, looking in and trying to put money into the country, it's quite prohibitive, right? Yeah. But for those that are within Lusaka, that should be a boon for them. That should be an opportunity now to invest, because now their money is worth much more than what it was worth before. But then all I keep hearing from people is, actually, no, the prices of goods, they haven't changed. And in fact, things are getting more expensive for some reason.
Yeah. I always have to, whenever somebody says something to me,
I have to go to the shops and actually do the check.
I will get, I will pick that with a little bit of pinch of salt. And I think I did share, I'm not going to jump away from that. I did share in one of the videos, I think I was talking about the opportunities and what I saw in Zambia. And I said, it depends on who you talk to. Because if you talk to just an ordinary Zambian or stand just, again,
the mindset.
Their mind is. They will tell you things are really hard. Things are not working. Things are like this and all that and all that. But then at the same time, speak to others who are doing business and are doing. They will tell you, oh, you know what? I see opportunities here. I see this. I see this. I see this. So really, it depends on who you're talking to. Now, getting to the prices, because I've got a huge spreadsheet that I use for my building. I record everything that I'm doing there. So I can actually see, I bought these. So I was, give an example, per square meter, a 4mm glass. I bought last year in May. I bought, I think the price was about $480 or so per square meter. I'm buying it at $380.
Ah.
So there are really some, there are, I mean, there are some prices that have come down, but the key for me is stability. much as I would look at the price, but if I can plan, if I can say,
over the next 2 years,
the next 2 years, I can buy, I want to finish the project by this and that, and I was surprised now is if I can plan and there's that stability in prices. To me, that's a plus.
Mm. And in a way, actually, you're right, that even overrides the point I made, because ultimately what makes businesses stable is knowing what's coming. Some element of, I can predict if I do A, then B will happen, right? And that's what builds stability.
That's what builds, I mean, people will say, well, inflation has come down. And I think I was looking at, I'm a quantity surveyor, I'm a builder, but I've got so much interest in the economy and what is going on. When people talk about macro stability, they need to break it down. Don't use these big words to confuse people. Break it down. That what it means is, just at the level of somebody on the streets, the food and all those things and all that. Stability. Prices are not going up as fast as they used to. Doesn't mean that they will be coming down. But when you add the factor of the dollar being strengthened, again, you need to look at what is going on, because the Bank of Zambia obviously has passed, instructions to say all trade within the country has to be done in the dollar.
In
the kwacha. And then you start now thinking, okay, there's still loads of things that we are importing in the country. So what's happening there? And how much is that? But then again, you look at what is happening, the fuel, prices are going.
I'm actually very surprised that fuel price rise hasn't impacted the exchange rate as yet in Zambia. It has not, and I'm waiting for it, but nothing has shifted. I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm just looking at, it's probably, some of these things take a while to happen. Maybe people were talking about how much fuel we have. I think there's a podcast that I wanted to look at. I was working on how much fuel reserves do we have.
Yes, so maybe
we still have fuel.
Yes.
Maybe we're not importing as much. And then, of course, we look at Zambia has been investing in a lot of strategic projects. I know the big one, obviously, is the refinery, which I think started last year. We still have a long way. Zambia has invested in a refinery as well in Angola. I don't know. I need to follow that up and see how far we've gone. So there's a lot of things that government has been doing in the background. And I think we need to really talk about these things, because as you said, that's the fuel hikes or fuel shortage and all that would have had an impact on but it hasn't, because when you think of fuel here in the UK, oh my God, the cost of living, we don't talk about it. The diaspora, we want to talk about the cost of living back home and look at as if it's the worst thing you can ever see. It's horrible here.
It's true. I'm in Finland, and when I look at, my neighbor was saying to me the other day that, neighbor, let's go and have dinner at, there was a seafood restaurant and they do this wonderful seafood boil and all of that. Neighbor, let's go. And I said, my dear, the cost of that meal here in Finland versus the cost of the equivalent meal in Lusaka, I'd much rather save my money. And when I go to Lusaka for that, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, go and eat all the wonderful food in all the restaurants then come back and sit in Finland, right? Because you're right. The cost of living here, we like to make it seem like in Africa, it's so bad. It's quite high. It's actually quite high.
And if I talk about just the fuel, I know we're not digressing a little bit, I think we are, but the fuel here was about £1.50 for diesel, petrol. It's already close to about £2. That's as bad. That's how bad it is.
Yeah.
And when you go to the shop, every visit, it's just to buy a few things. It used to be £30. Now it's £80. You can't talk about, if you're talking about filling a trolley, you're talking about 300-400 pounds.
Which in Lusaka, that's 3 months worth of food, you know.
In Zambia. So, but prices, I think there's something good that the government is doing. And I think we need to appreciate that. As Zambians, let's not look for shortcuts. Let's not look for shortcuts. And as builders, we know that shortcuts cost us at the end of the day. If you're building back home and you want to get the cheapest bricklayer or cheaper materials,
you'll pay dearly.
You will pay dearly. And I think on the national level, yes, something that looks difficult right now, or we don't have the cash in our pockets right now, we need to understand cash does not fall from trees. You don't put cash in a shed or in a chicken, whatever, and you just go and take. You need to provide a service to get cash. Yes, jobs.
It has to be generated.
It has to be generated. Yes, somebody would say there ain't jobs, because every time we are looking at a job,
yes,
what can I do based on my skills that can provide that income that I need? And then when you're looking at that, don't just look at one thing, multiple things. Here you're doing this, here smaller little things. And
eventually one of them strengthens and becomes your core, right?
Because what I see in terms of stability and the confidence that Zambia is generating because of what is going on. I watch Bloomberg all the time when I'm working. I work most of the time from home. And I just see news about Zambia, or Zambia did this. And that news is sending positive sentiments to the investors out there. And you see these guys and they're thinking, okay, if I go into Zambia, how much can I make as a return on my investment if I do this? And straight away you're thinking 30% or 40%. You can never make that in the West.
That's true.
That's why Africa is so attractive. Africa is so attractive. But there's a lot that we need to do. And never try to be, when you find a stumbling block, when there's a problem there, don't give up. Keep on going. Keep on going. We're talking about the rising price, and I'll just quickly touch on that. Last year, the price of cement, because of load shedding, went up, and most of the building materials, fuel, everything. And I'll give an example, and I've shared this on my YouTube channel. A block that we were buying within a year, I think we were buying a 6-inch block at 6 kwacha 15 way, went up by November. From March, November went up to close to about 12, in some areas to about 15 kwacha per block, 6-inch block.
And that doubles your costs.
Doubles your costs. What did I do? I said, I'm going to make my own blocks on site.
But that requires an investment, no?
Because
another investment.
Because I had cameras, because I had this and that, and I had to tap into my previous experience that I've had with working in Zambia. And I know it can be done as long as you put in those controls in place. What I had to do was obviously make sure that every batch is tested at a reputable testing facility, and the facility that we used was the University of Zambia.
Okay.
Testing the blocks. And the blocks...
I would have imagined like a huge outlay of some sort in the production of bricks. Is it not that big of an initial outlay to start producing them yourselves?
We had to use handheld modes. But the first part of it, we were using handheld modes. They're cheap. One mode was about 1,500. Very cheap. And we were using the slabs of the units that we have built as a platform to build to make those blocks. I've shared that on my channel.
Okay.
at the end of the day, I was able to make, I think the price came down to about 12 kwacha then, and I was able to make about, my target was 30% saving.
Savings,
But I made about 20% saving. The reason was I did not react to the results. I was getting excited because my blocks were about 7 Newton. And I was like, yeah. But when you look at the Bureau of Standards, the specification for, or the requirement for blocks for external walls, it should be from about 3.5 to about 7. So now, if my blocks are 7, just to get them to about 3, will mean obviously that will reduce the cost. But I didn't do that. So my blocks were very strong. So for you,
yes, and so you're celebrating. I have very, very strong bricks without looking at what it costs to produce.
Because the reason was a lot of people say, "Oh no, blocks that are made by hand, they are not strong." So my focus was, I want to make sure that they are strong.
Yes,
but if I had reacted to the text and made the adjustment, I would have achieved that 30 to 35 to 40% saving.
This is such an inspiring story for me, right? Because it's about I need something, I can't access it at the price that it's being offered on the market. What's the alternative? Let me move along that supply chain and do it myself.
And do it myself. And then the other thing, obviously, the whole thing, the project that we are, building, the total cost of this will be far much less than what I would, if I was to engage a contractor, and the contractor doing all the works for me, and then I'm just detached from it and all that. Obviously, there will be risks in terms of, whether they've done a proper job and all that. But I am involved, and I'm managing people, and I'm managing I'm talking to the builders, I'm talking to the supervisor all the time. Ultimately, the payoff for me is it's going to cost me far much less than if I was to take those 22 units and say, let's have a valuation. I'm going to have that done. It will cost so many millions and people will fall off. But when I tell you how much it costed me, it will be so much less. And some people will think, oh, no, you're cutting corners. No way.
Yes, but no, actually.
No ways. I am so fixated on standards.
Getting it right,
And that's why I talk about the Bureau of Standards, 007 for concrete. I talk about this because I want to make sure that the young people that are growing up
know how to do. There is a correct way to do things, right? And you can know how to do it that way.
And for me, the other key is, come on, don't give us those ridiculous prices that you give us. Let's be honest.
It's not justified, right?
It's not justified. If you make, okay, you want to make 30%, but but don't make 100%. Don't make 100%.
Yeah.
I've got so many stories and so many stories that I've shared on my channel as well.
I'll have a look.
I helped somebody here in the diaspora. They were building a wall fence. And they have an acre piece of land, and they were given this price. First and foremost, the guy had done a BOQ, so I looked at the BOQ because a lot of people, when they hear bills of quantities, it scares you. It's nothing. Don't get scared. Get somebody that can understand the language. Calm down.
To break it down for you.
Break it down for you. So these guys, they were given this price, and I looked at it. First and foremost, they had made a mistake in the calculation, in the bill quantities, which ultimately, if they would have corrected that, would have meant that the price that they had given them would have gone up. Now, this is now where, I talk about how to engage a contractor, making sure who holds that risk. Is it them because they've produced a bill code, you've given them the drawing? Do they say that's a fixed price? You need to understand what you get into. But if they come back to you and say, but contractors are clever, they will say, oh no, it was this, and you end up paying more. But actually, they're covering their mistake.
Yes.
So I looked at this price and I said, make this, if I help you, I can make this price come down to about 50%. You can make 50% saving. I applied the same principle that I'm applying on my other project, and it was half of what it would have costed them to build.
It's the lack of knowledge, the lack of understanding. Sometimes it's our own fault as well, the lack of curiosity, because if you look at it and you say, okay, let me really, really engage this document and try and understand what's going on, you would see where the gaps are.
You see where the gaps are. So I will speak to the contractors back home. Please, we diasporans are ready to work with you guys. But come on, let's be honest. Let's don't make 100%.
It can't be one client. I like saying that you want that one client, that one deal to feed you, your family, your cousins, the next generation, and the generation after that. Just out of that one deal.
Just one deal. Let's look at attracting more people and do a good job. And because when you do a good job, somebody's going to say, "Oh, that guy did a good job." Can you
and that's how it grows. That's how your reputation grows, and you get more and more deals.
You get more deals, and obviously channels like mine, yours, talking about what is happening. This is what we are trying to do. Work with people back home. We are partners. And we all want the same thing for our beloved Zambia.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you, Kelvin. We've spoken for so long. I still want to hear the stories, but I'm like, okay, Nachula, nobody will listen for more than 2 hours. So, we'll have to find another time to zone in on one particular element, and then we can have another conversation, I think is what's going to happen. Yeah.
Right. I really, really appreciate. You're welcome anytime.
Thank you. Yes. Please don't tell us we are welcome and then, expect us not to come. Me, I'm always telling people, if you say I'm welcome, I'm definitely going to come knocking on your door.
No, I definitely. I mean, I say this to a lot of people. We need to break this cycle where we think Zambians are isolated, they are individuals.
Yes.
They are,
they have little cliques. We have that reputation. It's really not a very good one.
Yeah. Just the weekend for me worked very well. Yeah. So
wonderful.
Yeah. So.